Yo, what's up? My name is Joel, and this is the new 13-inch M3 MacBook Air. We're going to get this unboxed and go over some of the features and upgrades of this laptop. There's a bunch of reviews on YouTube about the specific numbers and benchmarks of this laptop, and we'll touch on some of that, but I want to look into some of the more specific real-world use, whether you're just using it for office work, or like me, if you're using it for some photo, video editing, and just content creation in general. We'll also compare it to some of the older models and see if this newer version is actually worth it for you. After a closer look at some of these specs, Apple's really setting you up to fail when it comes to one specific configuration, and so stick around because we'll go over that later in the video. Let's start by opening this up. Now, as always, Apple's packaging is always on point, just like with all their products. Now, when you first open this up, you have the MacBook Air right up front. We'll get to this in a second. Now, in the box, it comes with a braided Midnight MagSafe cable that matches the laptop. You've got some paperwork in here, and then it also comes with a charging brick. This is a 35-watt brick, and it comes with two USB-C cable inputs, which is really nice. Alright, and now the laptop itself. First things first is the new Midnight color, which I really like. This version is a little different because they claim to have put this through an anodization process, which is supposed to avoid fingerprints slightly more than the previous model. But when I picked this up at the Apple Store, the Midnight M3 Air that was on display had a whole bunch of fingerprints on it, and it wasn't too much different than the M2 Air. But even though it has this new coating on it, I have a feeling it's gonna collect a lot of smudges over time. Now let's start with the design of the MacBook Air. It's just as good as always. The design hasn't changed much over recent years. The form factor is great. It's still ridiculously lightweight and really easy to travel with. The screen is bright and color accurate. The keyboard, trackpad, speakers, built-in mic have all been perfected over the years. And for a laptop this size, you really are getting that premium Apple build quality that they're known for. Let's get right into the most important thing when it comes to selecting your MacBook: the specs, configuration, and performance. It comes with 8-core CPUs and 10-core GPUs. You can get a configuration up to 24 gigs of RAM and up to 2 terabytes of storage. What I really don't appreciate is that Apple set a trap for its consumers by offering the base model with 256 gigs of storage and 8 gigabytes of RAM. And by itself, the 8 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage isn't the problem. To be honest, if you're doing basic things like schoolwork, papers, emails, then 8 gigabytes is plenty. The problem is how much Apple charges for these upgrades after the base model. For example, if you want to upgrade from 8 gigabytes of RAM to 16 gigabytes of RAM, it's $200. Same thing if you want to upgrade from 256 gigabytes of storage to 512, it's another $200. And not only that, but the base configuration for 16 gigabytes of RAM automatically comes with that 512. If you want to pick it up from the store, it's going to automatically be $400 more from the base configuration. And at that price, trust me, it is not worth it. You can easily get an older M1 or M2 MacBook Air, or even an M1 MacBook Pro for around that same price. Now, if you really are doing the absolute bare minimum, basic emails, YouTube videos, surfing the web, then yeah, 8 gigabytes is plenty, and you may be surprised how much you can get away with 8 gigabytes of RAM. Now, on the performance side of things, the M3 chip is what's new about this laptop, and it's why people are getting it. When Apple's M1 chip first came out, they revolutionized processing compared to some of the older Intel models. But ever since then, the jump in performance between M2 and M3 are significantly smaller, coming in around 10 to 20% compared to the big jump that M1 was. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because if you own an M2 MacBook Air, there's really no reason to upgrade to the M3. And if the M3 is slightly out of your budget, then the M2 is pretty close in performance where you don't need to upgrade. When it comes to using more power-hungry software like Adobe or DaVinci, that's when you start to see some issues when it comes to the MacBook Air. I do a lot of photo and video editing, and all my work I do at my desk with my Mac Studio. But whenever I travel or need something portable, I actually would steal my wife's M1 MacBook Air. We recently traveled to the Maldives with the M1 MacBook Air, and it's a 22-hour plane ride, and on the way back on the 22-hour plane ride, I did a lot of photo and video editing just from pictures and clips that we took from the trip itself. I was really surprised with how the M1 MacBook Air handled that. First of all, the battery duration surprises me. On that whole flight, I had to plug it in maybe once and it was good to go. When it comes to the photos I edited in Lightroom, I was pretty surprised with the M1 because when editing in small batches and a handful of photos, it really worked with no problems at all. Whenever I started importing more photos, like over 100, or if I was layering masks on top of each other and applying it to a batch of photos, that's when the MacBook Air would start to slow down more. But the fact that it was able to handle all that without too much of an issue is really surprising. Video editing also surprised me because we shot some clips underwater with a GoPro 4K 60 log, and I loaded it up in DaVinci and it worked very well. Now, keep in mind, these were smaller clips. If you were to try to edit maybe a longer 5-10 minute video, I'm sure it would not be able to handle it very well. But when it comes to these small clips, I was able to color grade them no problem, export them in 4K, and it looked really good and it worked pretty seamlessly. It didn't really slow down at all, especially with these smaller clips. As a content creator, if you're working with short form content and just quick edits while you're traveling, it really is able to do the job. And the craziest thing that I haven't told you about this M1 Air that I've been using is there was only 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is mind-blowing. All that to say, even the M1 base model is a very capable laptop, especially if you have a lot lighter workflows. Now, when it comes to the M3 MacBook Air, I did just do some tests in Lightroom and DaVinci Resolve, and the first thing I've noticed is it is a pretty significant jump from the M1 Air that I was using before. Now, this is not just the M3 chip, but I also have 16 gigabytes of RAM on here compared to the 8 gigabytes that I had in the M1 Air. I edited a recent shoot in Lightroom on the M3 Air, and I was pretty surprised because it was a couple hundred photos and it breezed by it no problem. So I decided to push the system a little bit more. So I created some masks, I did some AI masking and applied it to a large batch of photos, and even though it started to heat up a little bit, and even though it took a little bit longer, it was able to get it done without really any problems. I loaded up some videos in DaVinci and applied some heavier color grades on it, and these videos were anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes long, multiple videos, and it was able to edit it with no problem. But just a heads up, I have noticed that DaVinci is a lot more optimized than products like Adobe Premiere, and so I don't know if you'd have the same luck in Adobe Premiere with a MacBook Air. Now again, these are just tests that I ran for the video. I won't be pushing this laptop consistently to its limits. I'll just be using it whenever I'm traveling or whenever I need to have a quick edit done, just in case I'm not at my desk. This will be my wife's laptop 95% of the time, and for that other 5% when we're traveling or if I need something portable and I'm not at my desk, that's when I'll be using this. And so whenever I'm not using it, another reason I decided to get the M3 over the M2 is that she will be using it docked with an external monitor. And this is something new that the M3 can do, is it can have 2 external monitors, which is really helpful because you can use either 2 externals or you can have 1 external and then use the MacBook Air itself as the secondary monitor. This saves the hassle of needing to buy a docking station to get the external monitors to work. Overall, this isn't a super powerful workhorse machine for professionals, photo editing, video editing, like the MacBook Pro might be. But the light form factor, the solid performance relative to its size, and the overall quality is really nice. The only downside being Apple's premium price, especially if you're trying to upgrade. In that case, just go for the cheaper M2. And if you already have an M2, then this laptop isn't for you. Whether it's for daily use, school, or even some light photo and video editing, it's a pretty good option for a lot of people. From the initial tests, I'm really happy with the performance and it really makes sense for how I'm going to use it. Let me know in the comments if it's worth it for you and your workflow, but I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. If you want to check out the M3 MacBook Air or any of the other gear I use, I have links down in the description below. To the 5 people still watching, I'll see you next time.